I'm not going to say he's a disability icon for us or anything.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
Mr. Magoo on a flag. Oh, hi, and welcome to Low Vision Moments, the podcast all about those sometimes frustrating, potentially embarrassing, but often pretty comical things that happen when you are just going about your day with a visual impairment, blindness, and in my case, albinism. I am still your host. I am still Jennie Bovard, and I'm so glad that you're here for episode number 40. My guest today is Mr. Dan Barra-Berger. I hope I said it right. And I'm so excited to have him. He is a storyteller, an actor, a writer, a stand-up comedian who happens to also be blind, and you might have caught some of his antics on AMI's Breaking Character, CBC's Next Up series, or even on Apple TV Plus on the series called C. Dan, I want to thank you so much for coming here today to chat with me. I'm so glad to meet you. What else do you want the people to know about you?
Oh, yeah, I'm so stoked to be here. That was a solid rundown. Comedian, backpacker, storyteller. And yeah, my next big project is coming out in June. I'm one of the writers on a show on AMI TV called The Squeaky Wheel Canada. Satire news with a disability bend. I'm really, really excited to see how it goes.
I feel like The Squeaky Wheel, that type of show, linking disability to that type of show has been such a long time coming. I cannot tell you how pumped I am for The Squeaky Wheel. I'm so excited. And I have no doubt that you'll be touching on the topic of stereotypes and blindness related and disability related stereotypes and having all the fun there is to have with that topic. Am I right there?
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. We just wrapped a few weeks ago now, and it was so much fun skewering the powers that be. It got my little anti-capitalist heart just pounding, and the lawyers kind of freaking out because we can't say that company's name or that Premier of Ontario's name or that whatever atrocity that's happening to people all over the world. We can't say things directly, but so I liked stressing out the lawyers very much, and yeah, that was a great experience. I'm glad you're excited. That's a good thing. So
it's just been such a long time coming, and I'm happy to see someone like you involved because you're someone whose work has been floating around my content, floating around my life for many years, and like, you're funny. This guy's funny, and that's why you're here. But I've really enjoyed what you've done so far, and I think that you're just like a perfect match for this project. So I'm going to stop stroking your ego for a moment because I want to bring it back to stereotypes real quick and why I wanted to pick your brain and have a chat today about some of the blindness, visual impairment, for me, albino related stereotypes. I don't know if you know about this trend. There's a bit of a trend going on online right now where people are sort of owning their stereotypes. So tied to a certain group. So for example, one for me might be, I'm a woman with albinism. Of course I get all of the attention every time I go to the hair salon. Or we're runners. Yes, we're going to tell you how many kilometers we ran today, even though you didn't ask. So today I'm gunning for 8 to 10, just FYI, depending on conditions. And no, you didn't ask. But sometimes and I love the fact that it's just a way of owning the fact that, yeah, I do this thing and yeah, it's a bit of a stereotype, but sometimes those stereotypes exist for a reason and they're kind of funny. So it's got me thinking, like, I certainly fully live up to some of the blind and albino related stereotypes. Do you feel that way sometimes?
I mean, a lot of stereotypes come from a place of truth. I mean, they wouldn't become rote or stereotypical if they weren't, if it wasn't a repeated thing. But I think a lot of stereotypes, like if you look at the OG himself, Mr. Magoo, right? There were a lot of stereotypes about a blind old man getting up to hijinks, but that character was created. He was very funny. He was obviously poking fun at a disability in a time that wasn't. Well, it's still not cool. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But there was a structure of stereotypes that came together to build this one still iconic character. I'm not going to say he's a disability icon for us or anything.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, like
Mr. Magoo on a flag.
I did meet one fella who had a Mr. Magoo tattoo, and he was low vision. I'm like, that's owning it, my guy. That
is so owning it.
for sure. Like somebody who was designed to make fun of us. It's like no, that he's my boy. That's my Magoo right there. And
I look at it as like, it's so ridiculous. Mr. Magoo is so ridiculous. Yeah. Of course, he's going to know if his head's in the oven. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so the bad part about people characters like Magoo are, I get a lot of, I don't think there are such things as stupid questions. There's just, there's not a stupid question, because I always feel like there's like a real question with real meat behind the stupid question. So one that I get more often than I should is, how do you know when it's raining? And like to me that's like an offshoot of the Magoo-ing of blind people, the societal Magoo-ing. I'm going to write a thesis on this, the societal Magoo-ing of the blind community. But when people ask me that, I'm like, well, I know it's raining because I'm outside and water's falling from the sky, and I'm like not at an R. Kelly concert. Like something is coming from the and he's a bad person. And but so that's what I say. And then I asked them, I'm like, what did you actually want to ask me? Because to them that was a soft intro question, really, and it's a terrible question. But I'm like, what do you actually want to ask? Oh, and usually it's something like, oh, is it hard? Like, what do you do for a living? Like, is it hard to find work as a person with low vision or whatever? There's something real and empathetic behind the stupid question up front. Yeah. But then sometimes they're asking
it for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Like they try the soft intro one, and then let's get cut to the quick and give me the real question there. But yeah,
I can't believe someone asked you, how do you know it's raining outside?
Multiple people. It's what I mean. Then there's the classic, like, how do you know when you're done wiping? And it's like that. Come on, the taste, obviously.
How do you know?
Yeah. Like,
then how do you know it's raining? Yeah. Do you always find out it's raining with your eyes? Yeah.
Anyway, you look up and then suddenly your face is just soaked. Oh, something's wrong here.
Just when you think that awareness is spreading and that people are starting to get it, just when you think that that's the case, someone asks you how can you tell it's raining outside? And then we have to come back and be the educator. But some days you just want to be like, well, how the hell do you know it's raining? I do have a weather app, but it's so hard sometimes to not question people's intelligence because to us it's like, duh, but to them they don't have any point of reference other than Mr. Magoo, bringing it all back
exactly
to the, what did you call it? The Magoo-ing?
The Magoo-ing of society. Yeah.
The Magoo-ing of society. I don't like to admit that I live up to certain stereotypes. And for much of my life, I tried very hard to avoid anyone believing that I was any different and that these stereotypes applied to me. For example, for me, until like maybe the last 10 years of my life here, I felt bad about turning people down when they asked me to go to the beach. Like, why is the beach so popular? It's a question that I've often asked myself. But I used to just go along with it and quite literally suffer through it. I'm a person with albinism. I'm essentially allergic to the sun. I have to do a lot of things to just survive at the beach, let alone try and enjoy myself. Now, that's just me, Dan. There are lots of people who, whether or not I believe them, there are lots of people with albinism who seem to enjoy the beach. I know people with albinism who got married on a beach. There is an artist, a singer-songwriter with albinism who has a single where he's playing piano on a beach and talking about loving the beach, and he's not even wearing a hat. And it blows my mind. But for me, for so many years, I used to just suffer through it. And obviously there's things you can do, right? Sunscreen, UPF clothing, create shade, yada, yada. But I just don't enjoy it. So in the last 10 years, I've started turning people down, and I don't feel bad about it anymore. And I don't know what clicked, but like, I'm not here to waste my time going to the beach, putting sunscreen on every 60, 90 minutes to fit in. I'm not doing it anymore.
Although I will say the old like 1910s, 1920s, like full sleeve swimming costume, that's a cool look.
That's me at the beach.
Bring it back. That's a good look.
I'm not modest. I'm allergic to the sun. It's, and that's the other thing is no matter what I do, I am a beacon. I am a lighthouse at the beach. Do you know what I mean? Like if I wear a regular old bathing suit and slather on the sunscreen, I am the lighthouse. Like, if you need to find the group, just look for Jennie. She's glowing over there. Or I'm all covered up. And it's like, oh, who's this incredibly modest woman? Does she have, like what happened to her body?
Yeah.
Why is she hiding? Or, what's her deal?
No matter what you do,
so there's no way for me to blend in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whether or not people are actually asking these questions, I don't know. But I don't care. I don't like the beach. I'm an albino person who doesn't like the beach. Everyone can deal with it. If you want me to come, maybe take me to a lake because there's shade there. There are options. There's trees.
Well, I definitely feel that. And yeah, there's so much power in saying no. I worked for an organization that for a company that makes a product specifically for people with vision like mine, which I'll touch on what my vision problem is in a bit, I guess, if you want.
You can tell us now,
sure.
whenever you like.
I have a connective tissue disorder, it turns out, called Stickler syndrome. We only found within the last year and 2 years-ish that I have this. And it's, my connective tissues don't very well, and so it affects my all my thumbs bend way back. I'm hyper mobile to a point. It can affect your heart, your hearing, your a bunch of other things. But what if it affects me is my retina, and so we found out after. Well, they only really figured out how to look for it in the late 90s. So, and I lost my vision in 92. I don't know. I was 7, 93. And then 92. I went to Brock for English, not math. So
math is not my strong suit either. I am not judging.
When I was working in retail, it was amazing if I gave people the wrong change, and that was a perfectly acceptable explanation. Like, oh, sorry, I went to Brock for English. They'd be like, oh, no problem, sweetheart. That's fine. Okay. Anyway, you take the money here.
Will you count it?
But so that's kind of, so I'm totally blind in my left eye, and my right eye, I've got like 40%. I've got heavily like high test corrective lenses. Again, I'm bad at numbers, but I think it's like 20 over 2200 or so. I don't know. Don't hold me on that because I can't remember. It turns out I block things that are traumatic to me, so I don't really remember, like,
and their numbers.
Yeah.
So double whammy.
Yeah, exactly. Traumatic numbers. I'm out. I'm going to the bar. Forget it.
Yeah.
But so that's just a little primer on what my vision's like. A lot of so this organization that I worked for, I won't name them, but they produced a device that helps people with vision similar to mine or RP. And our staff party, which had, never mind that they only had 3 blind people on staff of 40 or 50, something like that, was at a ping pong bar. So that was, I just said no. And then,
what a kick in the teeth.
Yeah. I thought, oh, cool. There's the empathy I'm looking for.
That's like a joke. You really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. We went to a ping pong place on Spadina Ave here in Toronto, and the only reason I went, because
I'm surprised they didn't take you to a magic show.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That probably would be the only thing more stressful. The only reason I went because they insisted that there was an open bar, which, to me, an open bar is an open bar. It's not 5 drink tickets, but, you know.
Geez, they lied to you about the liquor availability, and they brought you to a ping pong place.
Yep, I don't work there anymore.
I would have made such a stink about the ping pong. Like, I never would have. Anyway, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you worked for this organization. They rewarded you with ping pong and a limited number of free drinks. Not impressed.
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the, I don't know, it was not even a lack of stereotype, except understanding, you know. It's like they went so hard in the opposite direction of pushing back against stereotypes. It's like, you know, we could have gone to the board game cafe. I can get real close to Uno cards. You know, we could have done, there was any number of things, but no. Jimmy wants ping pong. Let's go to ping pong. There was nobody there named Jimmy, but yeah.
Now you're naming names.
Yeah. Eat shit, Jimmy.
So were the ping pongs neon? The ping pong balls, were they like neon? Oh, no. Did they beep or anything?
No, and it was one of these hip Toronto places with low, cool lighting and dark corners and stuff. So yeah, there was just no need to be there.
I almost don't believe you, but I'm going, because stranger things have happened. I'll
tell you off camera which company it was, and maybe you'll be like,
I can probably guess. There's only there are only so many.
There's only so many. Yeah.
I'm almost 40. I think we're about the same age, going by the math quiz we did earlier, and many things. I admit to nearly everything. Like, I don't really hide anything with my vision. Most times I ask for help when I need it. Most times I'm not perfect. Okay. But I'm getting better. But sometimes I catch myself doing something or thinking something, and I'm like, got to keep that one to myself. Cause that's like an albino stereotype I don't want to perpetuate. But it's also kind of funny, so I kind of need to tell someone. And what I'm referring to is, I don't know how to, I don't even know how to tell this story, because I haven't articulated this out loud. I probably should have fucking practiced, but I've been thinking about this.
This is a safe space here. You can share.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm currently rewatching Parks and Recreation. Okay. Such a good show. So tight. And in the opening sequence, there's often like an establishing shot of the like exterior of City Hall. And it's usually like very bright and sunny. And it's like so bright and sunny that there's like a lens flare. It's an establishing shot. It's outdoors. And like, I'll catch myself thinking like, ah, Jesus, that's bright. Like, I'm not even really outside. And it's just a shot on the television of the outside. I'm like, ah, God, that's bright. And so like, there's that experience where, you know, the warnings ahead of some films and things and series, you'll get a warning that there's flashing lights and things going on that might affect photosensitive people.
Photosensitivity and yeah.
I'm the photosensitivity. That's me embodied. Photophobia, it's called, light sensitivity. With the albinism, it depends on the person, how it affects you. But I also wear these giant magnifying lenses over my eyes that, you know, they presumably magnify, you know, they make the light even brighter at times. So there's the experience with things like Parks and Rec and like, you know, action flicks, war flicks where there's lots of flashing and whatever. And you get the warnings. That's wonderful. But then I've had the reverse experience with watching a show called What We Do in the Shadows. Have you seen this? So imagine the exterior shot I just described, bright exterior shot, probably the morning, lens flare, versus what you would find in a show like What We Do in the Shadows, which is literally a mockumentary type series about a handful of very old vampires trying to make it in the modern world while flying under the radar as vampires. So they live at night. This show is so comfortable for me to watch. And after watching a couple of seasons of it, I had this realization. I was like, you know, I don't know what made me think of it. I just thought to myself, like, damn, this show is so comfortable on my eyes. And then I had to think about it for a couple of minutes. I was like, yeah, because they're vampires. Like, way to be a stereotype, albino lady. You like a show about vampires because it's dimly lit. There's never any bright lights. And even when they leave their home and go out in the world, it's at night. Even when they're like in their bar, their club that they open, it's never very bright. And I realized this and had this moment all in my head. And I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone about this ever. And then now here we are talking about stereotypes, and I'm owning this shit, Dan. I'm not hiding it anymore. Yeah. So yeah, well, send me a list of dimly lit TV shows, and I want to watch them.
Well, there's one on Apple TV called C, which actually, when I did watch through it to watch my episode that I'm in, it is too dark. I mean, I get the premise of the show. Well, it's all like in a world where there's a pandemic. I can't imagine that, where everyone loses their vision, and now suddenly nothing works because we can't take care of ourselves. But anyway, that's the premise of the show. Except Jason Momoa, he's a big tough boy. So for some reason, there's torches everywhere. I don't know why all blind people would need torches for light, but so they're trying to
torches hurt my eyes.
There you go. So yeah, and there's the scene that I'm in. I'm coming down the hall to deliver some bad news to me lord, and you can't see a damn thing. And I'm like, well, that's at least appropriate for. I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Do you think it's trying to be subjective?
I really couldn't tell if it was just that or like a bad filter or like my makeup was really awful. But yeah, so I don't know what was going on, but I tried to do a screenshot of it and I threw it into Photoshop to try to boost the gamma and everything on it. Still can't see it. So I'm like, well, so basically Apple TV C, you want a show that's basically an audiobook. There you go.
I wonder if that was intentional. Yeah. I really wonder what the thinking was behind that. Was it an attempt to be like subjective in that? I will say a lot of eye conditions, more light is better when you're dealing with sight loss and certain visual impairments. More light is usually
myself
better.
Included. Yeah. Yeah, like we actually, when we watch what to do in the shadows, we have to shut off all the lights so I can actually see it.
Right.
But another show, something like Parks and Rec, we turn all the lights on because, well, we leave whatever is on. We can watch that in the day. But if I cannot watch what we do in the shadows in the daytime. It also just doesn't seem thematically fitting.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's for what it's worth, I don't want to make it sound like I'm ragging on C, because the showrunner is totally blind. We did for all the extras and people coming on, we did this pretty intensive 2-hour course with people with low vision on how to use, because there's a lot of people, not myself included, a lot of people with low vision who don't use canes, and so they have, in the world of C, they have these like 6 or 7 foot long staffs that they walk around with, like Gandalf, and they wouldn't let me keep mine. I was really trying hard to take mine home, but it was so, I felt powerful, and but yeah, we did all this training and understanding about what different levels of vision, how people would hear, or everyone in the show is totally blind thematically. So how we would react to a situation differently, because my situation in real life is different from my mom's, who is totally blind. So I just said, oh, well, what would Berra-Berger do? And I just leaned into what she would do, and they're like, "Oh, you're real natural at this. You've got it." I'm like, "Yeah, I've got experience, baby." Yeah.
I wonder if here I'm gonna do. It's on my to watch list. It certainly is, and the more I hear about it, the more I want to watch it. What I'm gonna do for you, my friend, is I'm gonna watch it with my photosensitive eyes, and I'm gonna see if I can, maybe with my vision, with my, like, I can walk around in the dark. I chop things in the dark. Like, I don't need a lot of light. It takes very little for me. So maybe I can pick out more detail in the series than you can, or someone with, quote, regular working eyes can. Do you know what I'm saying? So
no, we don't need the middle ground people.
Forget them. They've been included long enough. No.
Yeah, exactly. It's our time.
It's our time to start excluding people.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. This is one of the last things that I really want to talk about while I have you. How are you with identifying voices? You know, the stereotype of, oh, we have such keen sense of hearing because we can't see, so we compensate with our ears. I mean, yes and no. But how are you with, like, voices? Can you, how are you with voices? I'm going to leave it open.
Well, I can kind of hear my mom in the back of my head saying there's a difference between hearing and listening. I'm like, well,
thanks, Mom.
Fair play, Mom. I'm pretty good at hearing voices. So I realized that this is my 15th year of being a person with vision loss, low vision, whatever, blindness. That's kind of, I take all catch-all terms. I'm happy enough with that.
Yeah, me too.
I've got bigger things to worry about than what somebody wants to call me. Start with Dan and go from there. And but it's been 15 years, so I realized I've been, like, honing my craft, as it were. And I realized the other day we were in an IKEA, and my wife went to the washroom.
You poor man.
And I know. Well, we survived. We survived trips coming through. And so I think we're in it for the long haul, being able to get through the IKEA together. And but so I was just standing there, and it's a busy day. And my wife goes to the washroom, and I'm facing away from where the washrooms were. I don't know, I was watching a kid run around or something. And she comes up my wife comes up beside me, and I'm like, "You ready to go?" And I don't even look at her because I could tell by her footfall that it was her.
Yep.
And so people, she's used to that now, but it does kind of unnerve people sometimes.
Is that a blind thing?
I think
we're just better at it.
That's it. Yeah. Cause there's there's the stereotype that our hearing and other senses are better. They're not. We just pay attention to them more.
Right.
Like, and that's what I tell sighted people. Like, your hearing is just as good as mine. You just don't try.
I just wanted to toot my horn in terms of, yes, the footstep thing. I've been doing that since I was a kid. Like,
Oh, fair enough. See, yeah, I'm catching up.
of course, you have some catching up to do,
Yeah,
but you're getting there for sure.
yeah.
When I was
I
a
realized I
kid,
sidestepped the whole voices thing. So,
oh no, not at all.
yeah.
I'm just I just came to toot my own horn because when I enjoy cartoons and and I love to pick out what actor is doing that voice, like what celebrity is doing that voice before anybody else, and I usually can. Like that Joker's friggin' Mark Hamill, and it's like, wait, what? Yeah, that's Mark Hamill.
That's Billy West, and that's Billy West, and that's
Billy West. Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
I just
for sure. And
so tooting my
like,
horn, you know.
yeah,
I live up to that one.
because it is a good skill to have. I just remembered a time I was grateful to have it. I was married before a long time ago in my sighted life, and then did get divorced after I lost my vision. And I was in the city where my ex-wife's parents lived, and it's a big enough city. I didn't think I would ever run into them, but they can convert photons into images and see me, but I don't have that power of, distance sight.
We suck at hiding. It sucks.
Oh yeah, it's awful. And then it's a good thing I don't carry around like a 4-foot like reflective stick or something that would make me even more noticeable. But I realized I was walking behind my ex-in-laws at the mall, and because I heard them talking in front of me, and they were going the same direction as me. I was like 3 feet behind them, and I just went, nope. And I just jumped to the side into like a Northern Reflections or something, some store that I'm at like 31. I'm not supposed, like, I have no business being in, getting a big cat sweater or something. So yeah, it's definitely a preservation thing, because that was not a conversation I wanted to have.
See, we can take advantage of these things, whether they're stereotypes or not. It all comes back to, let's just own this shit. It just makes life so much easier. And I think if we're more open about owning this stuff and talking about it and like laughing at it when it makes sense, we're gonna bring in those people who asked you how it's raining. They're gonna catch on eventually if we keep doing this kind of thing. That is my hope anyway. Well, before we go, I always like to ask, is there anything else that you're dying to tell us? And if not, then I think we would all love to know where we can find you and your stuff online and how we can connect with you.
Well, no, I really appreciate you you bringing me on. This has been a lot of fun. And you can check out the Squeaky Wheel Canada coming to AMI this late spring, early summer. I don't know if we have a settled date or not, but
I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I got you.
For what it's worth, that experience being part of that show was so fun and cathartic, and I learned so much from the other writers. It was a diverse team with various disabilities, and that's what you need. And then the cast is incredible. Gatry and Graham, who are going to be the hosts, are so funny. They're the perfect people to be behind the desk, doing what they're making our words sound how they were supposed to sound and come across better than we could have written them. So we're really excited to see it happen. I'm in one episode, so I'm pretty stoked for that. I did some voiceover work, so I'm hello AMI. I'm always on hire. You've got my number if you want me to do any audio work.
Do the movie voice again.
Ladies and gentlemen, this summer you can watch the Squeaky Wheel Canada only on AMI and AMI Plus. That is the streaming thing, right?
That's perfect.
Thank you. So it was such a cool opportunity and totally surreal to see. As somebody who's written stuff, it's one thing for me to write my own comedy and then go on stage and do it, because that's like a direct path. But then to write it, pass it around a writing room, and then hand it to people who know what the hell they're doing, and then put it on like there's camera people and audio people and then people making the funny thing happen. It's not just all living in my head. No, it was such a cool experience. So yeah, here's hoping for a season 2. And yeah, so watch that. And then as for me, just danbarra-berger.com, DanBarra-Berger.com. Thank you for the extremely long name, Mom and Dad.
Oh, I have had so much fun meeting and getting to know you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening, watching, and subscribing. Which stereotypes are you owning? Let me know. You can get in touch by adding a comment on YouTube, or you can send an email to podcasts@ami.ca. You can even give us a call at 1-866-509-4545. Make sure to mention Low Vision Moments in the message, please and thank you. And again, the number is 1-866-509-4545. You can follow me on Instagram and the TikTok. I am there under Uberblonde4, UBERBLONDE and the number 4. Mark Aflalo is our technical producer. Ryan Delahanty is our podcast coordinator, and manager at AMI Audio is Andy Frank. Our theme song is by the band Out of Controller. Go and check out their most recent single, Give Me Nothing. It's on all of your favorite music platforms. Until next time, my friends, no, I do not want to go to the beach.